Welcome to Buckets, your daily NBA betting podcast presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. I'm Brandon Kravitz, joined by the market maestro, Michael Fiddle, and the unofficial mayor of Hornets Island, Bryan Fonseca from the New York Post. A reminder, everything that we give out today can be found in the award-winning Action Network app, and you can get in on that at an incredibly low price. Right now, you can get $20 off an annual subscription. Promo code POD20. Just visit actionnetwork.com/pro. That's $20 off with the code POD20 over at actionnetwork.com/pro. Lessons learned. Busy Wednesday slate in the association. We had a fun hit on last night's episode. We had a one-star, was not planned. It was organic and random. Jaylen Brown over 37.5 points plus rebounds. Johnny Furphy over 4.5 points. And Luka Garza over 11.5 points and rebounds. So shout out to Joe Delera and Kyle Murray for helping me bring that one home. But Fiddle, what about you? What'd you learn tonight in the NBA before we get to our plays?
I learned that the Pistons, or I was reconfirmed that the Pistons, when they're down their guys, are still a wagon. They are now north of 75% win percentage on the year. They had a Cade get ruled out, Zion get ruled in. See this line go from like Pistons minus 11.5 to close at -7 against the Pelicans. They were up 7 seemingly the entire game. Like, they started out from Jump Street on a nice opening run. I don't even know if they ever got behind. They played amazing. Dennis Jenkins was starting. Duncan Robinson was hitting his threes early. The Pistons, I think, are now like 6-1 on the season without Cade. But if you extend that to like, what is the Pistons record without Cade? What is the Pistons record without Duren? What is the Pistons record without Tobias Harris? Like, they have one loss in the collective of those games when they've been missing those players. So like, no matter who you get for the Pistons, people talk about them needing to add a player at the deadline to really go for it. They are so deep. I'm not even sure you want to tinker with the chemistry and with the depth of the young guys that they have. Like, they've been putting up some really, really impressive games when they've been down guys. So credit to JB Bickerstaff, who's the odds-on favorite coach of the year right now. And credit to, the young guys in Detroit who are stepping up even when the superstar is out.
The fact that they're able to do this without Cade Cunningham is a sign of just how deep and well-cultured they are. I mean, clearly this is a system over being player-centric, and really they're built around Cade, but the fact that they can win like this without him, I think, does speak well to where they're at. They're plus 360 right now to win the Eastern Conference. I don't know how you can have more confidence in anybody but the Pistons right now. Obviously, if you buy into that, you are buying high, which isn't necessarily where you want to be, but they definitely look like the best team in the Eastern Conference. Do you have any idea, Fiddle, what happened to Zion Williamson? Because he did wind up playing. I was not locked in on this game. I had others that I had to tend to. 4 points in 15 minutes, 4 rebounds, basically did nothing else, and was a -10 in the box. It looks like he didn't even make it through the game.
No, he didn't. He went to the locker room during the middle of the game and then did not return. I could look up exactly what it was. I remember him seeing the alert that he was headed to the locker room, but he did not illness. So I guess it was whatever sickness he was potentially coming into the game with. And then he played through, couldn't make it through the whole game, and then ended up sitting out for the rest of it. Although I will say, when you see these illnesses pop up, don't be too surprised if 4 or 5 days from now, it means the Pistons are quite sick. And it means you want to start fading the Pistons for about 2 or 3 games in about a 4 to 5 day incubation period that you might have on.
It's so sharp, because one of the things that I do look at illnesses and start to look at, if a player is sick on a team, I might look to fade that team because now it's going to spread through the locker room. I rarely think about the opposition. That was such a COVID thing. Think about the infected opponent because of how much it would detonate a roster. Now guys can kind of play through it, or they're not as impacted, and there's not as much paranoia. But that is it's an interesting point.
Was something during COVID that was like I think probably the biggest edge in COVID and maybe in like the history of my basketball betting was being able to realize, okay, they're going to probably come down with this very contagious, if you're breathing in proximity and sweating and swapping body fluid with this person, you might start getting it and passing around your team. But then the lines would come out like early. And so you'd be able to get in on them. And then you'd have a rash of like 6 guys go out and you're calling up G League players. And so the closing line value on these things was just absurd. It was something like we've never seen before, because it would go from priced as everyone being active to like 6 to 8 guys being literally not even in the arena.
I mean, if you're not ready to be an epidemiologist, don't even get into sports betting. That's the general rule here. Brian, what'd you learn tonight?
Well, one, let me start with because I want to get in on Pistons talk too briefly. And I will say that although he did not play tonight, one thing I did learn, this doesn't count because this just was sparked by what Fiddle was saying about the Pistons. Cade Cunningham didn't play tonight, but I think there are people who still believe, or not still believe, just believe, period, that he's a bad defender. And I think people still aren't watching the Pistons enough. Cade Cunningham is a real defensive player, like a real one. And I've been asked several times this year, who's better between him and Jalen Brunson? Who's better between him and Jalen Brunson? And my answer generally is Cade is going to be better. He just has to prove it in the postseason, which I think he'll do this year, to be honest with you. And part of that is because you're not going to target him on defense the way you target other guys. And I want to shout out, of all places, be careful where you go on this site. Pistons Reddit has a stat. Best defensive field goal percentage on shots beyond the painted area this regular season. Cade is first, 28.6 defensive field goal percentage. So I think people they look at the offensive numbers and they're like, oh, okay, so he's basically doing what like Luka does and Harden does. And it's like, no, this guy defends. And he can do that also because of the team that they built around him. But he gets after it defensively. So I wanted to give Cade a credit. The thing that I learned is I think probably much less interesting is that I hadn't realized today that Hornets, Cavs, two teams that one team that I love watching, the Cavs actually are pissing me off this year. But I generally like the Cavs a lot. This was a nationally televised game. And I was like, we're still doing Ball Brothers ESPN broadcasts? We're still doing that? So that was something I learned today. I was like, oh, we're still selling like LaMelo Ball versus Lonzo Ball live on ESPN. And they're doing
Was it not Con Knipple getting the marquee in this?
They did the and Lonzo Ball is definitely Lonzo Ball is not even in a rotation every night.
He's a construction worker now.
If you look at, I got it.
Building brick houses, Brandon.
It took me a second, but
it's been a long day, Fiddle. Thank you for walking me through that.
The thing is I don't know. To me, I was just kind of like, whatever. Charlotte's a legitimately fun team. And we'll talk about them a little bit later because they play Kravitz's Orlando Magic. So Charlotte's not I don't have a favorite NBA team. I have teams that I like watching. Charlotte's up there. So I guess we're kind of going head to head, so to speak. But I think that with this, it's just I don't think these need to be nationally televised anymore just because of the Ball Brothers. I think you could put it on a nationally televised stage because the Hornets are actually fun to watch this year. Even though they're not that good yet. Also, LaMelo Ball can't stop cursing on hot mics. He cursed literally. They did an interview before the game, and he's like, "Yeah, I love having my brother home and shit." And literally on the ESPN, he just can't stop doing it. Every time there's a hot mic, you're gonna catch LaMelo cursing, which I appreciate because I would probably have the same issues.
Two quick notes of the things that I picked up. Giannis clearly wants out. He needs to tell somebody. 13 points.
This guy.
He scored 13. How does I don't even understand how you're built like that with all that talent. I know OKC's defense is good, but he scored 13 points. They are getting absolutely routed right now as we speak against the Thunder. I'm so glad that it took me half the season, but I learned my lesson to not trust my power ratings because I show value against OKC almost all the time, and it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Showed value again. I said, nope, no thank you. We're out on that. Left it alone. And good. That would have been another loser. But Giannis looks like he's just got to say it. He just needs to say it. Say it with your chest, Giannis. You want out. Also, speaking of bad basketball teams, shout out to the Brooklyn Nets. I took them plus 11.5. And sometimes it's better to just not sweat these bets at all. They lost by 54 points. The final score was 120-66 against the Knicks. A good reminder to buy low because Knicks stock had not been any lower than it was last night, and I took the bait. Also, maybe not betting the Nets. One of those two, maybe both. And some stats to back this up. Fewest points that we've seen in the last 9 seasons, the 66 that we got from the Nets. Fewest points since moving to Brooklyn in 2012. The 9th worst field goal percentage since 2018. And the largest win in Knicks franchise history. That's what we witnessed tonight. So that was on. And I was on that side. So that was a lot of fun, Fiddle.
I think the live line for that one stopped at 31.5. I'm checking on my screen. It looks like at 31.5, they simply just took down the odds.
Yeah. Yeah. They said, you know what? Nobody needs to be betting into this right now. We're going to hop into our best bets for the Thursday slate in a moment. But first, an important message from Matt Moore.
The Buckets podcast is sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook. And in partnership with DraftKings, our listeners get a great offer. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Pick 6 and have the shot to win cash prizes. To get started, use promo code BucketsNBA when signing up with DraftKings. Again, use code BucketsNBA when signing up and bet $5 to get $300 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. The crown is yours.
Time for some plays, gentlemen. 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 stars. Let's see. Got a good menu out there tonight. Let's get the prop out of the way here. Peyton Watson. What are we looking at, Brian?
Peyton Watson over 17.5 and already moving. You're going to see 18.5 probably because, they're playing the Wizards. Peyton Watson just had 21 points against his team. Injury update, because there's a loaded injury report on Denver's side that you need to monitor throughout, just for anything, whether you're backing Watson or whomever in this game. There's going to be loaded injury reports, maybe on both sides, but definitely for the Pistons. No Cam, no Christian Brown, no Jokic. Probable Hardaway, Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray, and then Jonas Valanciunas is questionable. So there's a lot going on. Still, Peyton Watson is over 17.5 in 11 of 12 games. He's over 18.5 if it ends up moving and you like Peyton Watson in the spot. 9 of 12. So he's been getting it done lately. And now with Aaron Gordon back in the lineup, he's actually over 17.5 in 8 straight games with Aaron Gordon in the lineup. And also in 6 of 8 if you're going over 18.5, just to outline those 2 things. But Peyton Watson's looked real good, really good as of late. I didn't think seeing him in college, seeing him in his first year, his second year, earlier this year, I didn't think that this type of scoring was in there, which gives Denver, and Matt Moore could obviously speak more to this, our guy, but it speaks more to like what Denver's going to have to address after the season in terms of a Peyton Watson extension, in terms of maneuvering around that and trimming salary. And do you move Cam Johnson already? Like, what are the things that have to go on there in order to keep Peyton Watson? Because I think he's a guy you have to try to keep at this point. It's not going to be the easiest thing in the world, but Peyton Watson's shown some real progress here, some real offense, and is making a legitimate jump right now. So it's a soft matchup defensively. It's a great matchup for him offensively in the 12 games that I'm talking about, where he's averaging 36 minutes per game during that stretch. And again, a bunch of that is with Aaron Gordon back in the lineup. He's averaging 22 points a game. So I like him here a lot in this spot. He just needs to finish baskets. If he comes out cold, then obviously you'll get a little nervous. But it's the Wizards, so he should be able to create some good looks and get some set up for him as well.
Hard to provide anything that would resemble pushback when you're talking about taking an over against the second worst defense in the NBA and the Washington Wizards. Any read on this, Fiddle, before we move on?
Peyton Watson has been amazing. This is one that Brian's been going back to the well on, like it was a Heat money line situation from a year or two ago. I don't have the most recent updates, but he was number one in the league for a long time in offensive rating this season. So he's been really emerging. You'd actually start to ask yourself, did they pay the wrong person in Christian Brown? Did they bring in the wrong guy in Cam Johnson? Because Peyton Watson has been the guy that's taken the leap with MPJ gone. And I think they'll be maybe looking to trade Christian Brown, maybe looking to get off of a Cam Johnson situation, because Peyton Watson's like seemingly a must-keep player. It's going to get sticky in the contract situation, but yeah, I like over 17.5.
Sometimes you just have to throw darts at the board, see what sticks. And you take enough shots with that sort of player development, and you're going to land on somebody of value, and they've clearly done that. So you mentioned Heat money lines, Fiddle. I don't know if you saw the rundown, you saw that Fonseca was on today's episode, and you thought, I know, I'll go with the Miami Heat. And almost as if it's like an early birthday. I don't know when your birthday is, Brian, but that's what it feels like here.
January 10th, just passed.
Late birthday present. All right, even better. Why do we like the Heat?
Yeah, I'm looking at this line, and it's coming out as the Portland Trailblazers, a -2.5 point favorite in the market. Drew Holiday and Jeremy Grant are both questionable, and they've been guys who have missed some time. So it's like, oh, are they potentially back for this game? The Blazers are on the first leg of a back-to-back in this spot. They have coming off of 3 days rest, and they're on the first leg of a back-to-back. So you potentially are only going to play those guys for one of the two games. If you just hold them out one more night, you play them, they get an extra night's rest, and you play them the next night against Portland's next opponent. And they missed this game against the Miami Heat. So given the fact that I think those guys might actually be out for this game, I'd have it closer to a pick 'em. And if they're actually going to play and be in, I'd have this closer to Portland -1.5. And I understand it's not a great spot for Miami being on the 3-4 on a West Coast road trip against a Portland team that's rested. But I think Portland's been playing a little bit above their skis recently. I think they're like 10-3 over their last 13 games. So it's a nice opportunity. I did this on the Monday show, taking the Lakers over Denver. It's just saying like, hey, I understand Denver was playing really well. Now I understand Portland's playing really well. The last 2 weeks are not a proper sample size for the full year. And so I'll fade this team as they're hot and advancing in market and say now's the time to go the other way. We're already getting some sharp signals within the market that this should be closer to 1.5 or even just a pick 'em. So I think the injury news could also go your way. So this is a no-brainer Heat spot for me. Also took it on the money line. A 2.5 corresponds to a +117 on an underdog money line. And so there's like +115s out there. So pretty much the same value spot. So taking the +2.5 and a +115 on the money line.
When I was looking at these games before we hopped on and before I started looking at what the actual spreads were, I wanted to just get an idea of spots, who I was going to like, obviously number dependent. I thought for sure I was going to be on the Blazers tonight. At home, major rest advantage. They have 3 days of rest as opposed to just one for Miami. You mentioned the West Coast swing right in the middle of it when teams start to usually tire out from that West Coast trip. This is such a Portland spot. If they were a small dog, I do not trust them as a favorite. They have been lights out at covering numbers when they're in that underdog role. I can't get there on Portland, so I guess Miami would be the side. I'm with you.
Yeah, the premium is definitely put in Portland on the pricing.
Yeah, big time. I think to that, the point I was trying to make is it's over premiumed at this point.
Exactly.
I think this number's too fat. Brian, what do you think?
Speaking of loaded injury reports, Portland has one as well. Although it's not including Denny. So like that's an important sort of detail there. Jeremy Grant is questionable. Robert Williams is questionable. Drew Holiday is questionable, and obviously Scoot's still out, and Scoot is seemingly going to be out forever at this point. Khalil Ware is questionable. He popped up in an injury report with a hamstring issue. The Heat are, and Tyler Hero's out, but Tyler Hero's going to be out for a while again. The Heat are in the midst of a week, as Fiddle alluded to. They're playing 5 games in 7 nights, which is very 1999-esque, but they have the rare, like you'll see this a couple times in a season with NBA teams where they'll have 5 games in a week, which is important for fantasy purposes. And the Heat had a back-to-back Monday and Tuesday. They obviously play tomorrow, then they're sitting, and then they play again Saturday, Sunday. So this shouldn't be a spot where you're worried about, oh, somebody's resting on a back-to-back. They have a back-to-back coming, and they just completed a back-to-back. If there was like a front end or a back end of a back-to-back here, I'd be a little bit more worried about Khalil Ware, although admittedly, he's not exactly killing it on the plus-minus front. Not that plus-minus is everything, but they're not always winning his minutes. And in fact, they're playing him less because they want to play Bam more, and Bam wins you minutes, and Khalil hasn't, and the Bam and Ware thing hasn't really worked to the degree that they wanted to. So I probably like Miami here, but I don't think I'm gonna bet anything. And if I do, you guys know what it will end up being, for being honest.
We go first half full game or just
No.
money line?
No.
He's parlaying Hornets money line and Heat money line and Peyton Watson overs.
I mean, just inject it into his veins. What are we doing?
I mean,
Mainline that.
I mean, look, the Heat famously awful in fourth quarters the last couple of seasons. Not as much this year. This year they're like very, 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 very slightly above average. Very slightly. They're 13th in the NBA in fourth, actually 12th now, tied for 12th now in fourth quarter margin in the NBA. So now you can not worry about the first half money line things, at least as it relates to the Heat. For certain other teams, we can have a discussion.
My 3-star play on the night, the Philadelphia 76ers at home catching 2.5 against the Houston Rockets. Spot play, numbers play, positive side of the injury report play. This one has all the signals for me. Joel Embiid coming back for this one. I think Paul George is trending that way as well. Embiid has had 3 full days of rest, so not only are you going to get Embiid back, which is not some secret, like we kind of know what the Embiid pattern is here at this point, but we're getting a fresh Joel Embiid. Paul George hasn't played in almost a week, so those guys, fresh as a daisy. Meanwhile, their opponent is coming off of the most improbable fourth quarter comeback of their season. Down by 23, wound up covering a 4.5-point spread. I should know. I was on the Rockets in that game, and that is called a lucky cover. They won the game by 5. Add to that, we have a nice soft minus 105 out there in the market. I think Embiid is a tough matchup for Sengun. Physically, he's going to get pushed around, and it all starts there. Philadelphia also been a covering machine over the course of the season, 57% ATS, just to make you feel nice and cozy about this one. Fiddle, what do you think? And since we hopped on, has there been any movement on the Rockets 76ers?
Yeah, I'm on this as well, plus 2.5 and the money line here as well. So I certainly agree with you. This is one of those spots for the 76ers where the number is just good right now. Like, this is probably bang on where it should be. I think it'll close around 2, maybe 1.5, and I think you'll be on the right side here. But I think this is one of those games where you definitely want to be on the 76ers side of this equation, even though I think they're also in a 3 games in 4 days type of spot. Paul George missed both of them, and Embiid missed one of them. So they're both expected back, and that should be good for the 76ers because both those players are actually playing great basketball right now. And so the 3 and 4 doesn't always represent what's actually true to the minutes and usage of the 76ers. So it's like a lot of the guys who are going to be swallowing up a lot of the usage aren't in a bad rest spot at all. So I like the number here, and I like the spot for the 76ers, and played it myself.
Yeah, and I was kind of looking the other day, the ebbs and flows of a season. The Rockets haven't been playing their best basketball over the last couple of weeks. The Spurs have been awesome, and I was looking to reverse course. I take Houston. I'm watching that game closely, and it's obvious that Houston has major issues still. I think not having Steven Adams is a massive for what this team, one of their best qualities, perhaps their best qualities, their offensive rebounding. And without him, they just miss that physicality down low. Well, that's not going to play well against Philadelphia. They came back. They did get the cover. This is where you shouldn't get drunk on your wins. I think we have to be self-aware as sports bettors. Sometimes we lose when we should have won, and sometimes we win when we should have lost. And I don't think Houston is a trustable road favorite right now against a good Philadelphia 76ers team that is fresher than what their schedule would tell you. Brian, any thoughts on this?
I stared at this game for a while before we got on. I don't know what to do with it prop wise. I have no clue. I probably like the Sixers here too, but I have no idea what to do from a player prop perspective yet in terms of this matchup. Also, just to respond to one comment, Jay Carter 90s asked if Kawhi is playing tomorrow. He has been upgraded to questionable. We don't know if he's going to play. He's missed 3 straight, but he's questionable. So TBD.
Does upgraded to questionable for Kawhi mean what it means for everyone else? Because I don't think the answer to that is yes.
It means what it means for Joel Embiid.
Yeah. Doubtful.
Yeah. I mean,
doubtful. Exactly.
I don't know about that. I'll say this much. It's the Lakers. And then after that, they play the Nets. And they actually don't play until Sunday after. So it's either you want him for this Lakers game or you want to rest him until the Nets game if he's actually like ready to go.
That stuff doesn't matter for Kawhi though, right? Like who the opponent is and if the team wants him back. Like it's pretty much all indications are clear with Kawhi in LA that like it's on his timeline and what he cares about and how he lets you know how he's feeling. Brandon, can I go straight into my 2-star? Have we done everyone's 3-star?
We are clear with the 3 stars. Go right ahead.
Lakers money line because I don't think Kawhi is playing. that was literally what was my cap, and I was going to reference the comment that is there as well. If you look at their schedule, and I like how on this episode we've done a lot of schedule stuff that's not only what are these teams coming into the game with, but it's also like what's coming ahead for some of these teams, right? Brian pointed it out with Miami being 5-7, but this one not being a back-to-back component. We pointed it out with the 76ers being in a 3-4, but no Joel Embiid or Paul George. So it's like, it's not only what has come or like with Portland, whether Jeremy Grant, Jrue Holiday play or they rest one more because it's the first night of a back-to-back. It's not what's only been happening, it's what's also coming up. And these teams prepare for a lot of these spots. Kawhi seeing another 2 days rest on the back end of this and then a game against Brooklyn, I don't think he's going to play. And there's already market movement towards the Lakers. So I think Lakers is the right spot to be on. They're definitely playing a little better. They removed DeAndre Ayton, who left last game off the injury report. Like he got hurt in the eye against Denver. He should be back and totally healthy, not even listed. Luka and LeBron are both good to go. So this is, for me, another clear Lakers spot. And we've had a few instances, even this week, where a player was upgraded to questionable and then still didn't play. I remember Josh Giddey was one of those earlier this week. It was like, oh, he's actually against the Clippers, no less. It was like, we actually think Giddey's going to play. The line starts moving towards the Bulls, and then he's announced out and just doesn't play. So upgraded to questionable, didn't end up going.
I did put in what I believe will be a plus EV parlay. Lakers money line, Heat +2. See what we can get out of that. I know you're waiting on this one, Brian, so let me go ahead and give it to you. 2-star play, Magic Hornets under 229.5. Fatigue makes cowards of us all. Talk about schedule spots. This is a beauty. This is a 2-star. It's a 3-star masquerading as a 2-star. Okay. I love this play. A lot of tired, not well-adjusted legs in this game. The Magic are coming back from overseas. I just got done fading the Memphis Grizzlies for the exact same reason, and they wound up losing to the Atlanta Hawks, so we cashed that ticket. That was the 3-star from last night. The Magic's body clock is going to be all jacked up. Okay, so they flew back. They played on Sunday. They didn't fly back on Sunday. They slept in London overnight, flew back on Monday, reacclimate Tuesday, practice Wednesday, game Thursday. So being off from Sunday to Thursday sounds like a lot of rest. Not when you're going through the day-to-day travel that this team has gone through. Now their opponent is going to fly overnight and land in Orlando probably like 2 o'clock in the morning and after a primetime game against the Cavs. So not only do you have two teams that are going to be fatigued and thrown off of their game, this is a sleepy spot. A Thursday night, the Magic were just playing in front of Berlin and London fans that never see basketball, and the Hornets were on ESPN, and now these two are playing against each other with the most tired legs in the NBA. And then, oh, by the way, Jalen Suggs has been upgraded to questionable, and if I know my squad, when they upgrade a guy to questionable, it means he's playing. So I don't have confirmation on that. I'm just telling you as somebody who knows this team quite well, I'm pretty confident Suggs is going to be out there. Even if he's not, I still love this play. He's not going to give you that many minutes. So I don't think he's going to make that big of an impact in terms of the total. But, of course, a nice boost if he does play, even if it's just 15 minutes.
You want to know, to support this point, you want to know who has played to the most unders in the NBA on no rest?
Hornets.
Yeah, Charlotte.
8 unders, 1 over on the second of a back-to-back.
That's wonderful.
A team, by the
way,
who I feel like getting to my 1-star and getting to my 2-star later because it's actually related to this game. I don't know if we want to fuck up the order though, but
do it.
But all right,
send us into disarray.
We'll do that. David, apologies, but we'll be a little out of order here because my 1-star, not 2-star, 1-star is Hornets plus 6.5. I don't know if they're going to win this game, but they've been this is more of a numbers play than anything else and just playing out the trends of the season. Because as we know, and as I've pointed out on this show, I think several times at this point, for whatever reason, Charlotte is elite on no rest. I don't know how to fully make sense of it. They've played good teams on no rest at times. 8-1 against the spread on no rest this season. With all those unders, by the way. 7-2 against the spread on a rest disadvantage this season. And just as a road underdog, they're 12-8 against the spread, which as a road dog, that's pretty good. That's actually quite good. Orlando as a home favorite, 7-9 ATS and 3-5 ATS with a rest advantage. So Hornets, they had a comeback in this game against the Cavs. I would say not a fully fake comeback, but didn't end up pulling it off. So but I do agree. I think the under, given what we know about both teams, yeah, I think it's gonna be one to look at too. But I think a little nibble here. I wouldn't go crazy to 1-star, but like given the trends of what we've seen this season, Charlotte typically comes through in this spot. We'll see if they do it again against an Orlando team that has flown back from Europe and now is going to have Jalen Suggs reintegrated into the lineup.
Yeah, and I think Suggs is all energy, and him at home, he is the fan favorite in that building. He provides so much energy for the team, for the fans, and then when the fans get into it, the team plays better and all that stuff. If you want to look Magic, I think first quarter would be the way to go, because if Suggs is out there, he's probably going to start. There's going to be a lot of energy in the building, and then he's not going to play a lot of minutes. And so you're going to settle into reality. And these travel schedules tend to be more impactful in the second half. So first quarter, first half, if you want to bet the Magic. But I'm with you. I try and stay as objective as possible because you can't bet and be a homer. So I think it's Hornets or nothing, full game. But I think the under's the way to go. Fiddle, you and I have talked about game factors before. And this is one that I don't think is all that well priced in because it's so rare. The trip back from London. The NFL has done a good job with this because they deal with this every year. I think rest advantages are well priced into lines. I don't think flying back from London is well priced into lines, and I don't think that is factored in to this number at 6.5.
I think that's totally fair. We don't really have a large sample size of these games. They're starting to do more. I would wonder how Mexico City games factors into that as well, because it's not as big of a drastic time difference, but it is a serious elevation game, right? So it becomes like if you're traveling back to the East Coast from a West Coast elevation game, like in Utah or Denver, it's not really West Coast, but it is slight time zone difference. But yeah, this is something on the other end of the spectrum where you're going the other direction. You gain time coming back, but it's probably pretty taxing on the body. And not only is it the rest that you get, you also have tons of media responsibilities when you're there. So it becomes pretty taxing and like mentally exhausting. And when players, like, I guess the human element of it that sports bettors use to handicap is when a team goes on the road for an extended period of time, and these international games are that because they played two. They went to Germany, they went to London, they had 2 days of rest in Germany before the Germany game doing media stuff, then over to London, then coming back. When you come back from that, you have a lot of responsibilities that you need to get back into when you come back to life. Like, oh, maybe you have kids, maybe you have wife, maybe you have whatever going on, and you have to do all these things, and you're not as focused for the next game. So you're not only exhausted, burnt out from the media, you're also picking up the pieces of your life. How does that really factor into going and playing a game in Orlando right now? That's probably pretty tough and a pretty good point. It's probably something that's worth getting ahead of and betting these spots pretty routinely the next few years until there is a good database for pricing these games.
You realize he's about to hit us with the Sean Little. Do the laundry. Take out the dog. Call your girlfriend. That's great. All right. I think we're still on 2-star plays. Thank you, Brian, for the derail. Let's go Fiddle. No, you already
No, I did
that.
my 2-star.
All right, Brian, 2-star play.
2-star play is Najee Marshall over 15.5. If you can find a 14.5, it's possible that it's out there. We'll see where this ultimately lands. But right now it's a 15.5 and at a good number. I saw that DraftKings had it at minus 101. So as close as you can get to plus money as possible with that. But Najee Marshall over 15.5 in 5 straight. As a starter this year, 21 games, he's over this in 13, under an 8, averaging 17.6 points per game as a starter so far this year. And also just one of the best value contracts, I think, in the NBA right now, given what he has done this season, what he can do, what he was doing last season, quite frankly. Like, he's been really good in Dallas. And I think he's a guy that you should actually extend and keep around Cooper Flag. That's the type of wing that you want on your team. He also provides a level of toughness that you just need on the squad that you want to be serious. So long term, I think, I'm not saying to max him, but I think he's somebody that you can obviously keep around. The shooting for his career is not good, although lately it's been better. And obviously he's been finishing and getting to the line more. You saw it against the Knicks, just scoring on different levels, despite the fact that he was inefficient. But at the same time, he was still getting to the rim. He'll be able to do that in this matchup as well. And you're seeing Najee Marshall also, as I mentioned, from 3, minus the Knick game where he went 1 for 6, but had a couple of games where he was 2 for 4, 1 for 2. Is a very small sample size against the Utah Jazz, to be fair. But the 2 for 5 also earlier in that stretch was coincidentally also against Utah. Had a good one against Sacramento, so on and so forth. But it's really about him getting downhill and him being able to create. He's been doing those things well lately. He's been finishing at a nice clip. And he's legit. I think Najee Marshall's good, and the team has been producing better offense when he's out there as a starter.
I'm worried about that Golden State defense right now, and
Me too.
That would curry some favor. This, by the way, one of the things I love about your caps is that it's so obvious that you play fantasy basketball and you use that to your advantage.
1000%.
I love it. Absolutely love it. If I don't know if anybody picks up on that. I used to do a fantasy basketball podcast. I cannot keep up with that and this. I know it's technically the same world. I had to pick one or the other, and I chose betting spreads primarily and dabbling in other things, but there's just not enough minutes in the day. So it's a hat tip to you for fitting all of this in.
2 seasons ago, we did an Action Network league, and I ended up winning the league. Like I was like 16-2 or 16-2 or something like that. And we didn't do it again. I wanted to do it again because I was like, yo, I want to double up here. But like, what happened? You know what I mean? But you know, the Yugoslavia Jokers, who had Nikola Jokic, will live to fight another day.
My 1-star play is going to be in that same game. I'm going to go with the Golden State Warriors -3.5. Not because I'm buying into what I'm seeing right now without Jimmy, and it feels like they are in a state of disarray. So I've got no issue with Brian's play on Najee Marshall. I just think this is a slight overreaction to what we've seen recently. And we see this all the time. Team gets steamed. They don't cover. Everyone's off of them the next time they play. They were 3.5-point favorites against Toronto, moved to 4.5 before tip-off, even with the Butler news, and they got dusted. Dallas has been running hot. This is still not a good team. I'll buy low on Golden State. There's a reason why it's a 1-star. I don't really I don't see it, but it's a sell. Buy low, sell high kind of situation with Golden State and Dallas. Fiddle, what do you think on that read? And then finish us off.
I'm on all of your plays, actually. Like I am on 76ers +2.5. I'm on the Warriors myself here in this spot too. I think it's a strong matchup advantage for the Warriors. And whenever they're missing guys, they end up like really staying afloat and playing 500 basketball. There's like always a 2-3 week period where they miss Steph. And it's like, they're actually 6-5 without him this year. And so I don't think the Jimmy loss is going to ring as hard as it sounds. And I actually think if they get DeRozan, it's really interesting. For my 1-star play, I'm going with the over in the Wizards and the Nuggets game. Over 231.5 is the consensus price out there. There might be a 230.5 available. This is one of the games where defenses for both these teams been really lackluster as of late. Wizards are a pretty high-paced team. They've consistently been top 10 pace in the NBA all season. I believe they're 7th in the league right now in pace. Denver, not a very high-paced team, but incredible with offensive efficiency and shooting a lot of threes, specifically without the Joker in the lineup. So leaning into the pace, leaning into the efficiency for the Nuggets side, leaning into the lack of defense and lack of bigs on both sides. Even if Valanciunas comes back for this game, I think he's more of a offensive player and not great defensively. So I don't mind that at all. I think Sarr will be able to space him out pretty well. And then the young athletic guys will be able to attack the rim for the Wizards. I like the Wizards straight up. I like them against the spread. I like the Wizards money line. And I like the over, but for the 1-star play, I'll stick with the over.
All right, let's recap this. David, if we could get a graphic going so the fine people can see on YouTube where we're headed. 3-star plays, I like the Sixers +2.5. Brian is on Peyton Watson of the Nuggets over 17.5 points scored. Michael Fiddle on the Miami Heat +2.5 against Portland. I like the Magic Hornets under 229.5 as my 2-star play. Najee Marshall over 15.5 points for Bryan Fonseca, the fantasy basketball hoop head. Lakers money line for Fiddle against the sketchy Clippers. We got Golden State -3.5, Hornets +6.5, Wizards Nuggets over 231.5. You can go to actionnetwork.com or the Action Network app. Check all of it out for yourself. Before we get out of here, it's time for our Thursday Moneyline Underdog Parlay presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. We already spoke about all of these. We're feeling pretty good, so let's have some fun, see if we can get some buckets ROI going. Philly Moneyline, Heat Moneyline, Hornets Moneyline at +1298. That is your Thursday NBA Parlay presented by DraftKings. That's going to do it for tonight's episode. If you want to tail any of these picks, you know where to find them, actionnetwork.com or in the Action Network app. Big thanks to Fiddle and Fonseca. The double F's delivered like UPS tonight. Hat tip to David Payne, our producer. We'll see you next time. And until then, let's get buckets.